What's a continent that's white at the bottom of the map and is forgotten by 90% of the population? If you guessed Antarctica, you're right. But while Antarctica is little more than a strip of white at the bottom of the map to most people, the continent is actually pretty interesting. Now, before we get into what lies at the bottom of the world, I would appreciate if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for future content. Okay, so first, some basic facts about the continent. An area of 5.5 million square miles, or 14.2 million square kilometers. It's the third smallest continent, with only Europe and Australia smaller in size. It's no secret that Antarctica is the coldest continent as well. Temperatures rarely rise above freezing across most of the continent, and they dip as low as negative 128 degrees Fahrenheit, or negative 89 degrees Celsius at Vostok Station, a measurement that is by far the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth. But why does it get so cold? Obviously, it has to do with its very southern location, but there are two other interesting factors: elevation and albedo. You see, Antarctica is a huge ice sheet that is 1 to 2 miles thick, resulting in an average elevation of about 10,000 feet, or 3,000 meters above sea level. This obviously leads to cooler temperatures. But that same ice sheet has another interesting property. It has a high albedo. Simply put, albedo is the amount of light a surface reflects versus how much it absorbs. Since ice is white, it has a high albedo, and thus, much of the sunlight is reflected back into space. The end result is a colder continent than there would be otherwise. One last interesting tidbit. Antarctica only has about 5,000 people at maximum, and most of them are scientists or other researchers. However, Antarctica's ice, while huge, isn't flat. Quite the contrary. Antarctica has a highly varied topography. Its most notable feature is the Transantarctic Mountains, a huge mountain range that more or less divides the continent in two. One side of the mountains is West Antarctica, which is a thinner and smaller ice sheet. You might be hearing about the West Antarctic ice sheet a lot, since with uninterrupted climate change, it has a very real risk of having a sudden and dramatic melt-off in the next few hundred years, thus causing a huge rise in sea level. The other side is East Antarctica, a much thicker and more stable ice sheet that is in no danger of melting off in the next 1,000 years or so. The last notable feature is the Antarctic Peninsula, the warmest part of the continent, though it's not really warm by any means. The peninsula is home to the highest temperature ever recorded on the continent, a 64 degree Fahrenheit, or 18 degrees Celsius reading at Argentina's Esperanza base last year. This area is warmer, since it is at a much lower elevation than the rest of the continent, and it's much further from the South Pole. Fun fact, if all of Antarctica melted, it wouldn't be a continent anymore, but rather a few large islands scattered around the South Pole. One last thing about Antarctica is that it's pretty dry. Most of the continent receives no more than about 10 inches, or 25 centimeters, of precipitation each year, making Antarctica the world's largest desert. And that wraps up this video about the continent at the bottom of the world. As always, I would appreciate if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for future content. Thanks and have a great day.